Hello, hello, hello. Welcome if you are joining us through the airwaves, wherever you are. It is a pleasure to be with you. I'm hoping that this is becoming, regular procedure for those of you who are watching, supporting, stressing about Liverpool on a weekly basis. And that's KopEnd Khanage, our second episode. But we're going to look back at this as being the early days of something very special. Grizz, how we doing, man?
Doing all right, man. We're doing all right. I'm just thinking, are we gonna keep note of the number of episodes? Like, so obviously we've started now, so we might have to continue like the whole episode 1, and now you've mentioned episode 2, or you haven't mentioned episode 2.
Yeah, no, it's in the description. Second episode.
Oh, so
we'll
we're
keep
gonna
doing it.
all right. So someone's gonna have to remember what number of episode it is. But yeah, man, all good. Apart from that, people blaming me about the lateness. I'm telling you now, it wasn't me. You know what I mean? I was 100% one of the first ones there, bro. You know what I mean? So you can't blame the Asian thing. It's not Asian. I was nice and early.
But I was also going to say something similar. Still, funny enough, I wasn't the late one, innit?
I can confess to that. Marco was there, man. So I ain't saying who was late. You know what I mean?
There's two.
So now we just leave it at that, basically.
There's two Bengalis in this conversation, and it wasn't me.
I didn't want to go there. One came in, but all I'm saying is one came in with no headphones, echo in the background. You know what I mean? Talking about
professional, man.
About politics.
Mush, man, you got to do better. Mush, come on, we've got hundreds of people watching us right now, man. Come on.
But let's catch up with the boys. We've got a debutant this week, a man passionate, knowledgeable, privileged to always be with. Marco, how we doing, my brother?
Thank you, man. That was a nice introduction. Privileged to always be with, knowledgeable. I like that still. But I'm feeling good.
Live up to it now.
Yeah, I definitely have to. But I'm feeling good, man. This weekend's been very good. We got the win. United lost. Everton lost. Chelsea also lost. Beautiful days, man. I know it's only game week 2, but I'm liking the look of how things are shaping up.
And my brother in arms, Fahi, what you saying, man?
Nothing, man. Nothing. I'm all good. Like Marco said, it's been a good weekend. Life is so much easier when your team just wins, right? You can just enjoy the rest of your weekend, have time with the loved ones. You know, you don't need to make an excuse to your wife while you're angry or anything like that. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, literally straight Saturday 5 p.m. Love, let's go out. Let's do something. It's all good. We're ready to go. Like, we can enjoy the weekend. And
let me even add to that. It's even better when your ops lose as well.
Yeah,
so you've got that bounce from your team winning, and then you've got Man United getting dunked on, Chelsea getting dunked on.
Marco, you know my saying, Marco. My team winning isn't enough. My enemies need to suffer. That's how football works, man. Grizz, I'm sure you understand.
Do you know what? It's been and someone mentioned it on the show last night. That it's been ages since that's happened. You know, where we've won, right? And our ops have so Man United, Everton, Chelsea all lost on the same weekend. And someone was mentioning like that hasn't happened for ages. So
the opposite was happening every week last week, right? I mean last year.
Last
year we were the only ones to lose and everyone else would win.
Oh, we were getting man. It was the opposite of everything that Fahi said. Everything he was said, right? I was thinking last season was the opposite. No going out, no family time, no
WhatsApp groups.
Holding my number. All the opposite was happening, man. It's mad.
So it's so funny when you can't like even tell your girl or like your partner that you're pissed and there's nothing else that she could do about it. Just be going through the house moody.
Yeah, but if you're a real one, they already know.
Yeah.
So she praised Twitter and she like,
it's all no words need to be exchanged.
So I wanted to, of course, shout out everyone in the comments, everyone who's just joining us. I think one thing that would be really cool, because we've just started this amazing journey with you guys. I would love it in the comments if you guys do a city, country of where you're tuning in from right now. I'd love to know where in the Liverpool family you're, dialing in from, and just to make us realize how huge we are, man, as a club. And my big thing this season is we're back. So I want to know who I'm sharing that journey with. So
we're back, yeah? Are you back, yeah? Okay, I
listen,
like it.
until I hear you guys all say it today, my job is not complete. So we've got India, we've got Barbados, Bahrain, Birmingham. Wow. Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Where's
Right.
Bangladesh at, man? There we go. That's what I
We
needed.
got Algeria,
Come on.
South Africa in the
South
building,
Africa,
USA.
Charlotte, USA.
Oh, shout out
Iraq.
Carnage TV, man. Carnage TV is global, as we can see.
That's
Carnage
it, man.
TV is global, man.
Kurdistan, Iraq.
Don't forget about listen. We can talk about all the exotic countries and places. Can't forget Birmingham, Handsworth, man. Come on.
And still shows face somehow, man. Love it. Peshawar. Right. I could read. This is
Montreal,
filling me with joy, man. So I could go through everything, and yeah, you guys keep going, keep chatting. I want to get started, and remember, guys, Grizz is on it with the comments. We're going to be talking, we're going to be interacting with you guys. So remember, this isn't just for you to watch. You are just as much as part of conversation as we are on your screen. So I want to start straight away, guys. Whilst everyone joins us and joins us for the topics they want, the big thing is, Grizz, you gave a beautifully poetic speech about our return to Anfield, man. Stands were bigger, seats felt more red. It was nice to be back, man. How were you feeling before the game?
Always doesn't matter what happens, man. Whatever stage you're at in terms of the transfers and your team and your players and preseason. For me, anyway, because everyone's different. For me, that first home game, it just instills optimism, man. Just hope and optimism. Sometimes it can only last 10 minutes, like it nearly did with us lot, yeah? Like that 10 minutes, first 10 minutes, obviously we're going to get into it. So it could have been a very quick optimism, bout of optimism. But yeah, man, when you see the and always, have you guys noticed, yeah, the first home game of the season's always sunny. Like the weather's always banging. The sun is always out and the crowd's always out. Everyone's wearing the new kits because there's always new kits. So hope, optimism, that's what football fandom's about, man. So, you know what I mean? You hope and support, and you think, yeah, behind every bad season or every bout of unluckiness or unfortunate times comes the good times. So we had that last season, and you like to think fresh start. Let's go again. You're on mute.
It's amazing how it just washes through you, right? Like it's like everything is forgiven and forgotten, and you go back, and just believe again. So Marco, I want to talk to you, man. Obviously, everyone hasn't had the chance to meet you yet, so we want to kind of know. It's a new team this year. It's a new team, and it looks like Jürgen Klopp is kind of set on what's available at the moment. So we had a lineup that had no changes. How did you feel about that?
So I guess for those that are meeting me for the first time, I'm the eternal optimist within the KopEnd group.
Yes.
But lately I've been quite pessimistic and downtrodden, and partially because of how we ended last season. I know we did have a win streak towards the back end of the season, but it petered out with a few draws and we ended up coming fifth. And the lack of transfers. So I know there have been transfers in Szoboszlai, McAllister and Endo, but I still want to see more. And I had my heart set on a couple of players, which we'll probably touch on when we go into the transfer segment of things. But I still don't think this team is strong enough. When I'm looking at the Newcastle team, when I'm looking at the Arsenal team, the City team, maybe even the Chelsea team based on potential, not what we've actually seen of that team, but where they could end up if they get together and they gel. I don't think we're currently in a strong position in the league, and it's quite downheartening for me that we were one of the better teams in the league and now we're possibly the fourth or fifth best team in the league. That could change over the season and people could surprise us, like Szoboszlai surprised us. Surprised myself, and I'll definitely touch on him when we touch on him in more detail, but I'm not too sure how I feel about this team at the moment in time without a specialized six and with Robo still playing the left back position because he hasn't been great as of late. You're on mute again, bro.
Mersh is struggling, man.
This
Mersh is struggling, man.
I'm having a Caicedo performance at the moment.
This is a Caicedo. Luckily, it's not your debut, man. Otherwise, this is a pure Caicedo.
Yeah. Listen, I've got some kudos with the manager, man. We're all good. So, Fahi, let's come to you. Obviously, like Marco said, we're unsure about how we feel about this team. It's been a bit Jekyll and Hyde. You know, we've seen some amazing things. We've seen some worrying things. But even though it felt so volatile, Jürgen Klopp seemed to want to go back to, the same lineup and seem to trust it, even though we saw 70 tough minutes against Chelsea. Firstly, why do you think he chose to go for the same lineup again? And is there anything you would have liked to have seen different to what we saw in the starting lineup on Saturday?
Yeah, I think ultimately he went with the same lineup again because he kind of was forced to, in the sense of Curtis Jones being out, right? So Curtis Jones went out with an ankle injury on Thursday morning. So for that reason, he couldn't make the team. I think if he was available and if he was fully fit, he probably would have played in that game. Because it's at home, we're more likely to retain possession more often, right? We're going to control the ball a lot more. So it would have made more sense for Curtis Jones to start that game. Him being injured, it made it a little bit more difficult. And as we already know, our manager at times, as much as we do love him, he is quite stubborn, right? So if he's going to go with Gakpo in the middle against Chelsea, don't be surprised if he does it against Bournemouth.
And it's like the more people tell him it doesn't work, the more he wants to show that it can.
He doubles down, man.
Yeah.
But you tend to find all the big coaches kind of do that. If they get a request from the media on a certain topic or agenda or a tactic or formation or anything, they say, "Okay, we're going to show you. Watch this." And that. But like, Fahi's right. He's got a little bit of that
spite.
It's what most top managers do, and like. Just off the rip, I can remember Conte doing the same with Bissouma. When people were calling for Bissouma to start and that Tottenham midfield was struggling, he decided Bissouma's not good enough for me. Bissouma's not going to actually make it. So regardless of the media pressure and the fan pressure, he persisted with it.
Yeah, man. And I guess let's go straight into it because ultimately we had the same lineup. So we knew the system. We knew what we were going to be trying to do. But it didn't take very long for us to start stressing. Fahi, I think the electricity's gone where you are. I don't know. I think you're.
I was trying to help you out.
What's going on?
I was trying to help you out.
Chris, talk to this guy, man. He ended up
behind the scenes technical support I was trying to give you, but
I think
you know what, Mush, I'm going to leave you to it. Man.
So
you do your thing,
brother.
Help
you. So he was trying to help you, but you managed to call him out while he was trying to help you.
You do your thing, brother. You do your thing. I'm done, man. I'm done. But yeah, go on, as you said.
Yeah. No. So look, we start horribly. When we start horribly within 1 minute, because a goal gets disallowed, but it was a miracle that it was disallowed. Grizz, tell me what happened for this instantaneous mix-up to occur in that back line.
How many times did we see this last season, though? And this is one of those things that you think, are you serious? Have we not moved on from... How many times did we go behind last season early, first 10 minutes? It was shocking. And it was always no team went mad through us.
It was self-inflicted.
Always self-inflicted. And again, that first, it was a basic ball, I think, over the top.
Yeah. And it was like Trent and Alisson were not communicating at all about what they were going to do.
Bro, so Trent has these, right? We're going to obviously get onto Trent because of the first goal after this episode, right? So Trent has these episodes or games where you think to yourself, yo, you have to ask the question, where was you last night? You have to. Yeah? You have to. No, you have to.
You up.
Bro, you don't want to, right? You don't want to because every man can do what they want before the game. And, you know what I mean? He's, as far as we know, I think he's young, free and single, you know what I mean? So he can do what he wants, where he wants, how he wants. But sometimes you have to question what he's been doing the pre-match because he starts off like so brain dead. It's unreal. So that's fine. We're kind of used to it to Trent, yeah? Alisson, right, is our hero.
He's
right?
our safety net.
He's our safety net. But there's sometimes one in 8, 1 in 9 games where you think to yourself, bro, you're not on Brazil Beach, man. You stop trying to play football. Stop trying to be Edison or Onana or anything. You're one of the best, soundest, safest goalkeepers in the world, and my club's ever seen. But when he tries to overcomplicate it, sometimes I can't. Honestly, he makes me too nervous. And I've said it before, guys. I don't know what you guys think. This might be controversial to you lot, but people that follow my shit will know that I've said this. I think he's overrated on the ball. I think he's overconfident on the ball. I don't think he's as good as people make out. He's on the ball. I think he's just stick to goalkeeping because as a goalkeeper, second to none. But the moment he tries to play ball, I shit myself. I'm not going to lie.
I think his distribution is good, Grizz. I think his distribution is good, but I think you're right. On the ball, when the ball's active in play, he's not as solid as people make out.
Bro, you know,
There's
on the
a bit of a
distribution thing,
difference.
I think distribution, like in terms of throwing the ball out, second to none. In terms of the ball in his hand, kicking the ball out, second to none.
Exactly.
So, ball at his feet distribution.
On the floor, he's not great.
When it's active.
On the floor.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think he's a bit too lax at times, and he overestimates how much time he has. I've seen him get caught out so many times where he's just about chopped it past the forward that's unrushing, or he's just about kicked it and the forwards blocked it. Somehow it's ended up somewhere else. I think it was it last game where he kicked it off someone's back and it went out for a goal kick? Quite early on in the game. But I did want to ask you guys about the chance that got the goal that got disallowed. Do you not attribute any blame to Konate? Because for me personally, I think it's a complete communication mix-up between him, Trent, and Alisson. Somebody needs to be taking charge there.
I agree because Konate is the body in the middle, right? Konate is the body in the middle where Trent is getting too close. Konate is the one who becomes too close to both, and Trent needlessly gets a touch. I do think, though, it was a poor bit of communication, but I do agree with what Fahi and Grizz are saying, which is a lot of what Alisson was doing, and I want to add people in this Alisson group from that first half. I want to add Virgil to it. I want to add Robertson to it. In terms of players who it felt like whenever they were on the ball, it was like Bournemouth were going to start an attack because we're going to give it away with how nervous they looked to pass it into midfield. Grizz, where did this nervousness in terms of build-up come from? Everything took an extra second. Everything was an extra touch. It was really weird because I don't associate that with us.
I don't know, man. I think I don't know what you guys think. I think we were rushing it. I think we were trying.
Yeah, we were.
I think we were trying to start too fast. Like, we all know when we start fast, we're mad. We can blow teams away in 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But that hasn't happened for a long time. And what I found was in the back end of last season when we started, because let's not forget, we're unbeaten in 13 or 14 games now. People have forgotten about that, right? Going back last season and add another 2 games. So I've thought that we've started off more controlled in those 13, 14 games. This time we went back to let's try to blow them away. Like we started against Chelsea, basically.
Yeah.
But we weren't on it. I don't know. Do you want to give credit to Bournemouth at the same time?
100%. You have to. Like, I mean, we probably didn't expect them to kind of press us as high as they did and kind of commit as many men as they did in that first half. They had about four players pressing us in our half. What away team usually does that?
And they're very athletic as well. It's not just like they have numbers forward. They've got some great runners. I think they've got a lot of players that by the end of the season might find themselves at much better clubs, I think.
So let me throw something into the conversation that somebody in the chat mentioned. I think it was Mo Mohammed. Do you guys think a press resistance 6 negates that slow start? Someone that can just put their foot on the ball, escape a little bit of a press, and then play a ball forward.
See, I think that guy is McAllister, but we confused it or not confused it.
He had a poor start to the game, Grizz. We need to talk about that as well. McAllister, what you're saying, whenever Van Dijk or Konate played the ball into him, you know what you said about the defense were a bit nervous? McAllister would get it and try and rush a 1-2, and then we'd lose the ball in the middle of the pitch. So I know McAllister's usually composed, but I don't know. Didn't you guys feel he lacked a bit of composure in the first 15? Do you think the game state shocked him a bit?
I think the entire team
everybody
lacked a bit of composure in the first 15, man.
Yeah, everybody did.
Yeah.
What are the reasons, though?
Yeah.
Give me reasons, guys. I need to understand why I was so stressed.
I don't know, man. You're asking for some mad insight into the mental
The
side
psyche.
of
That's what I'm here for, Grizz. You know me.
No, I hear
It's
that.
the first game of the season, though. It's the first game of the
And
season.
it might have
You've
just been
got to
that
understand.
initial start. It might have just been
100%. And even
disallowed goal that just added a bit of shakes. And now you're trying to think, oh, you know what? We don't want to go behind again. We've seen this this typical thing that happens every single season. So every single game last season, we don't want to go behind and have to work ourselves back into the game. So I guess the fear of not going behind meant people were trying to do things either a bit too rushed or a bit too slowly.
But that sounds like there's a big weight on their mind, though, right?
Yes, it's definitely a mental thing. And sometimes you just need to have somebody that calms down the group. I think somebody in the middle would be able to do that. McAllister should be someone that does that. Virgil should be someone that does that. Trent should be someone that does that. A lot of our senior players didn't do that in the beginning of the game anyway.
But I think we're slowly between us working it out. So I'm listening to all of us and I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. And I think you're spot on, Marco, because you've just said in the end, someone in the middle or as a collective needs to be more composed. And what did we find? All our midfield was brand new, guys. All our midfield was brand new.
Yeah, facts.
So it's gonna be a bit disjointed. It's gonna be not everyone knows their position. We're playing two very attack-minded eights alongside McAllister, who's not a 6. I know he can play there, but he's just not a 6. He's not, guys.
I think you make a really good point as well, Grizz, because we're all talking about it. We all support Liverpool. We all think of Liverpool as home, as familiar territory. But for two of those players in the middle, it's not familiar territory. It's not home yet. It's not a place which feels safe. It probably feels like a place where they have to prove a lot. So yeah, maybe they've still got to overcome that psychological comfort. But ultimately, this bad start led to the goal itself. Fahi, I don't know who to blame more. There's been a bit of debate going on.
Really?
Because there's two bits though. There's the pass into him, and then there's the touch itself. Does the pass lead to the poor moment, or does the touch itself?
The pass does. The pass leads to the poor moment. 100%.
I was going to say the touch.
No chance. No chance.
Enough.
I'm doing a poll.
Do you think it's the pass or the touch? Comments.
I'm going to do a poll right now. I'm going to do a poll in the chat. Carry on.
Yeah, let's run it,
there
man.
we go.
Frahe's going to get outvoted.
I do think the pass was bad.
No, listen.
Similar to Nunes and McAllister in the Chelsea game. I do think the pass was bad, but I do think the player that's receiving the ball can do better.
The pass was nothing like that one, though. Come on. Like Virgil's pass.
That pass was hip height, the one from McAllister to Nunes against Chelsea. This one was still at his feet. Like it was.
The Virgil pass is way easier to control. Yes, you've got two people around you, but show some awareness. Look around, scan around. You're supposed to be.
But he's probably not expecting the ball. He's probably not expecting the ball in that scenario. If he knows that,
get off the pitch, then
that makes no sense. If the player in front of you who's got the ball can scan and see everyone behind you, you're not going to expect that guy to actually pass you. You'd be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
I don't agree there at all. Look at the best teams in the world. Yeah, they play those passes. And they'll just bounce it into that guy. They'll bounce it into that guy to shift around.
Look, Total Clips. Shout out Total Clips, whoever that is. It's not my burner account. Why is VVD making that pass there when he has 2 men around him and 1 literally on him? It's the pass.
Because like I said,
we've got RJ saying
it's mad. Why he's asked the one guy that's backing him and goes to shout.
Big him up, man. Big him up. Big him up.
Right, so Olivier says he was not switched on, which is absolutely true. There's a few people that are saying, to me, it's Trent's fault.
Grizz, didn't I told you it would be split, Grizz. It's
a dumb pass, man.
Level, we should control that.
Hold on. Let me go do it. You look, carry on. Sorry, give me one. I'm going to do a poll. You carry on.
Because, let's carry on anyway. Marco, we'll come to the second phase, right? So Trent's given away the ball. Now, I think one thing that's not been discussed in this analysis of the goal is Andrew Robertson's new method of tackling, which is running full pelt at human beings.
It's not new. This is not new at all.
Well, now it's the
Don't
only
get
way
away
he
with it.
tackles. This is now the only method, right? Which is running full pelt, but also, even though I run full pelt, I'm not actually going to touch the ball. I'm just going to run near you. So explain to me what Andrew Robertson is also doing in the second opportunity to clear that ball.
So I've seen this from Robertson like quite a number of times, which is why I'm saying it's not new. He does this thing where he's running full pelt and he just swipes. Like he tries to swipe the ball. Sometimes they knock it past him. Sometimes they knock it through his legs and it completely takes him out of the game. Why do you defend like that? You've been a defender for, how long is it now? 11 years? And you should know how to defend in a side when you are supposed to be the better fullback at defending. You're supposed to be one of the most senior members in our team. Why do you do this? At least run up to the guy and like shepherd him somewhere. You don't need to win the ball every single time you go in for a tackle. Sometimes the best defenders know when to stand off, know when to make a challenge, know when to be imperious with their aura, as Virgil was over a period of time. Robertson is supposed to be a very good defender. For a long time, he was a very, very good defender.
Definitely.
Now I think he's just, maybe it's a bit too much iron brew. I don't know what it is, but he's lost a bit of football IQ and he just jumps head first into these challenges, and it takes that whole side out of the game sometimes.
Yeah, and I do want to almost flip this completely, right, in terms of Andrew Robertson, because I think everyone's really finding it easy to blame Robertson. KD, we've got a few people, jump into Robertson's defense, and I think that's
I'm jumping to his defense right here.
Go on, Gris. Where do you feel? Do you think we're overstating it?
I think, yeah, we can. I agree with the first part of the Robertson analysis. Like, in terms of, I agree he's being rash with his challenges, and sort of I agree with that aspect. But yesterday, is it yesterday?
Yeah.
Saturday, bro, I ain't blaming Robertson. Robertson actually nearly got Virgil and Trent or whoever else got out.
Bailed them out almost.
Bro, he read the game quick and he got in there. And
don't get me wrong, Grizz. I'm not saying that Robertson had a bad game, because funny enough, I think he did. But for that specific situation, I'm attributing a little bit of blame to him. I do think the majority of the blame lies on Trent and Virgil for the initial phase. To me, I should have put
Robbo in the poll. Whose fault was that goal? Robertson and Virgil's. I reckon Robertson would have got less than 2%.
That would have been 1%.
Yeah.
1%.
And it should be. I always put more blame on the person that makes the first mistake, because then you have to have a knock-on effect and everybody starts panicking a little bit.
So I do want to kind of, the goal happens. Luckily, it happens so early. We basically have 90 full minutes to come up with a response, right? And then it's all about, we know how Anfield works. We need to build up some momentum. We need to build up that feeling of the opposition can't get out. And I want to completely flip what we're talking about Robertson, because I want to give Robertson huge credit, because whenever we would win a corner or build up some momentum, his deliveries, the first 3 or 4, almost led to a chance or a goal every time he knocked the ball in. Now, I mean, Grizz, considering in this conversation you're the Robertson defense guy right now, it's really good where Andrew Robertson has become a bit of a scapegoat, to see that he was one of the big reasons it felt like we would score.
Yeah, I'm not having this Robertson slander in this particular game. I'm not. I think Robertson was, again, like you said, become an easy scapegoat. And I thought he was the most alive, the most alertest out of our back 5. He was. Virgil overall had the best game in the end. But I don't think Robertson was far behind. I think he was alert. And you got to remember, I know we.
What did you think of the deliveries as well, though? Because that's a big part of the game.
No, but exactly. But we're talking about, how many times have we discussed a new role for Trent, new role for Trent, new role for Trent? It's a new role for Robertson as well. He's been asked to play as an almost a third centre back, yet because he's got the lung capacity and maybe the bravery and still the ability to still go on the outside, like you said, and whip in balls, and his delivery was on point. So I think, as much as we talk about Trent's new role and how difficult it must be for him, And then obviously as a result, Konate has a new role because of the Trent new role. And then it's a domino effect on all the others. I don't think enough's being made of Robertson's new role and how difficult it must be for him to adjust as well.
It's not the same level of leniency being given, right?
Why is that though? I just want to put it out there. Is there
Why
a
do you guys
reason?
think it is? Why do you guys think it is, Marco Fahi? Why do you think people aren't giving a player who's, like I said last week, the all-time assisting Premier League defender whilst playing for Liverpool? Why is it he's not being given the leeway that someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold is?
Can I jump
Because
in there
this has
quickly,
been
Fardy?
going on for a while. Go for it.
Exactly. You build up credit over time. And for me personally, Trent has built up so much credit with his performances going forward that sometimes you accept there's defensive lapses. I also think his defensive lapses are overstated. So I am probably one of the founding members of the Trent Defense League. And whenever, if you guys watch Touchline Fracas or have been on Discords before, whenever Trent does something defensively great, I shout it out. And I make sure I scream it and shout it, put it all over Twitter, because people need to see that, yes, he's not the best defender, but he also has good defensive games. I feel like Chelsea was a good defensive game for him. I haven't heard any noise about his Chelsea game, even though I think it was a good defensive game. But if Trent was to have a bad game, that will get screamed and shouted about. So for me, Trent has built up enough credit that I would want to push the agenda of him
But
being.
what about Robertson's credit, though? Has he not built up credit?
He built up credit and then he lost a lot of credit based on last season. I feel like a lot of last season he was.
Why does Trent have credit from last season? I'm very confused by this.
He doesn't really, but the last.
Marco's doing that. What we're talking about.
Good.
He's literally a living case right now. Go on.
Yeah.
So like the last 10, 13 games, a lot of that was off Trent's back, in my opinion. Him moving into the midfield in the Arsenal game spurred a lot of our, I guess, impetus moving forward. And all the games were Trent being influential in midfield. So if you're giving me one aspect of the game that's really good and one aspect is subpar, I'm going to like say it levels out. But for me, Robertson was subpar in both facets. He was subpar defensively. He was subpar attacking wise. And I can't remember all of the games, but I'm sure you guys know of head. There were so many times when we get into a promising position and it breaks down because of Robbo. And I love Robertson. Don't get me wrong. He's one of my favorite Liverpool players. But when that consistently happens, then you start to question the player moving forward and say, you know what? If it's always breaking down when you're moving forward, if your body shape's not always right, if you're always playing the ball backwards, if you're slowing down the tempo of our build-up, are you supposed to be here? Have we evolved past you? And maybe because personally, I don't know about other people. Maybe because personally we feel like we've evolved past Robbo, he gets scrutinized a little bit more. But don't get me wrong, Robbo's been an amazing servant, and I wouldn't have traded what he's done previously for anything in the world.
Wow.
Can I just very quickly
Yeah, go on,
and then we
Chris.
get yours two opinions. See, I'm at that stage with Matip.
Yeah.
I'm at that stage with Gomez.
I hear it.
But I can't be at that stage with Robbo. Like, I agree that he did stink out the gaff last season.
Share that comment Olivier just made.
Hey guys,
Bro,
hey, your lawyer's in a do-rag. Of course you're going to jail, bro.
Marco sound like your core point of lawyer. Go means go, but you're going to jail.
Honestly, I've been reading the comments. Marco's talking and he's just getting absolutely. But that's the beauty of it, man.
No, that's the bit. No, some are agreeing with him.
I like to be objective, man. I like to be objective.
Listen,
No,
this is
no,
the
no,
world.
Of
This is the world we're in.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, go on.
Maybe because I'm a bit more patient guy. Maybe I'm at that stage with Gomez and Matip.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not at that stage with Robertson. That's what I'm saying. So you know when Mush was talking about credit, for me, Robertson has got a bit more credit in the back to dump him after a bad 6 months. Like, it was bad. I'm not defending the 6 months, but I'm saying I'm not that level where I'm saying, Robertson, yeah, we're done with you. I'm at that stage with Matip and Gomez.
100%, I hear it.
Fahi, what about you? I came to Marco for some Robertson defense. He decided to put some nails in the coffin instead. How about you do? You be the good man in this moment.
No, you
All right. What I'll say is, I think the reason why Robert gets a lot of flack, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if you compare the two fullbacks, you would say that Robertson is stronger defensively, right? More reliable defensively, or is supposed to be more reliable defensively. And Trent, when he's got the ball in the final third, you're going to get better output from him, right? So I think what's happened in the past 18 months, I'd say, is that defensively, we've been really shoddy, right? And then you look at it and you see that some of the attacks do happen down our left-hand side. And Robbo, the reliable one in the defense, supposedly, or when he used to be, he's not being as reliable. So for that reason, he is now getting more flack. That's all it is. I don't think it's a case of, it's because Trent's a Scouser or he's a local boy or he's got the Hollywood pass. That's the reason no one gets onto him. I think the fact is, when there's a defensive lapse or a mistake or an error, you look at your better defenders to get you out of it.
Who you
so when he's not getting you out of it,
kind of thing.
And that's all it is. I think that is all it ever is. No, listen, Robbo getting flack because he's going to blast a shot when he gets onto the edge of the box. It is what it is. That's his style of play, right?
Yeah.
You're not expecting to ever score. But that's more like tongue-in-cheek. You're just like, Robbo, man, what are you doing? But
Well, that's not what you're judging him on anyway, right? Those aren't the criteria you're judging whether he's having a good game or not.
Exactly that. Exactly. And I think all that's happened is in the past 18 months, we have been let down by our defense. And then you look up and you expect it from Trent. Sadly, you do expect it from Trent, right? He's got a pass. He's literally got previous, It happens all the time. And it's not going to stop happening anytime soon. It's going to happen again, probably in 3 or 4 games. With Robbo, you expect better. So when he doesn't do the right thing from a defensive perspective, or he doesn't bail us out, it's like, oh man, you let us down. And I think that's all it is. We just hold him to a higher standard defensively, and that's why he gets the flag. So hopefully that's a fair balance.
Yeah, I think that was a really I think that's a really good explanation for that. But you can see how much our problems are consuming, because everything we've talked about represents about 12 minutes of football so far. So let's move further into the game. And what we need to talk about, and what I'd be interested to know, is our attack was not attack of 5-6 players all in sync, all playing well. I would argue to say the difference between the player who was playing at his best, I'm talking about from about minute 20 to half time, I'd say Luis Diaz was probably our best player at that point. The difference between him and Diogo Jota was the difference between my body weight pre and post marriage, right? It was absolutely shocking how different the level of play was. So let's start off on the positive note, because we've gone through a few of the negatives. Grizz, this man for me is looking like a player who's looking like he's bubbling up to maybe a Premier League team of the year or something like that. It's looking very, very promising for one of our star men who's been so unlucky.
But you know what? Let's go back a year. Let's go back this time last season. And who was going mad at home to Crystal Palace? Luis Diaz, when we were man down. Who scored that wonderful goal? Who went mad at Arsenal? Who was terrorizing Arsenal before? Was it Partey who took him out? Bro, this guy started...
who was the only one who stepped up against Napoli? Who was the only one?
This guy started off last season on fire too. Let's just hope he stays fit. You know what I mean? And pray that he stays fit, because you're spot on. He's not carrying, but he is the man in our attack right now. I'm one of the guys that wanted, because of the unfortunate, nothing to do with his talent, nothing to do with his ability, but I'm one of the guys that said, I need more output though.
Yep, 100.
I know you're a baller.
Decisive.
Everything that you do makes me get off my seat. Yo, I see that touch. I see that skill. I see everything. But you've replaced Sadio Mane.
Exactly.
You understand? So I need... You won't get many people that can get Sadio Mane numbers. But I need numbers. I need efficiency. I need output. And the guys heard me, personally, he's saying, yeah,
taking credit for it, yeah, Grizz. Doesn't sound like you, Grizz.
Bro, our reach is worldwide. We know this. So there's no surprise Sadio Mane heard that shit and took it upon himself. Not Sadio Mane, Luis Diaz. And you know what? I just very quickly, the touch on the goal, that was such Luis Suarez thing to do, man.
Yeah, such an outside of the box thought. Marco, what were you thinking when you were watching that?
No, first and foremost, I want to give a little bit of props to Jota for the assist.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
good
think-
play. We can't just, summarize everything
was-
as bad. Go on.
No, overall, I agree. He was like a competition winner out there. Overall, in that first 30 minutes,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
It
was
was a Make-A-Wish kids.
horrible, but he did step up.
But
Yeah.
that assist was really nice. Normally in that position, we see Diogo Jota shoot more often than not. And sometimes he claps it, sometimes he doesn't. But that was really smart play from him. When you expect somebody to do something and they do the complete opposite, he slots it in for Luis Diaz. There's a couple of deflections, and Diaz is, like you mentioned, it was Suarez-esque. Like, to be able to flick it up. And I was one of those people in the camp of, we need more output. We need more from your Jogo Bonito guy, and you do everything that I want to see on the pitch, other than score and assist. But now it looks like he's actually bringing that to the fore, and he's, since preseason even, he's been going forward and trying to score, trying to create a little bit more, trying to be a bit more direct. And I love to see it, man. It's great to see him in this form after injury.
And do you know what, Fahi? The one thing that Grizz and Marco both talked about, productivity. Productivity is one thing, but Grizz mentioned Liverpool royalty there in my beloved brother Sadio Mane, yeah? And one big thing about Sadio Mane was not just the goals in number, but the importance of the goals. We have seen Luis Diaz score 2 opening goals for Liverpool to set up, one, to give an opening goal in a tough away ground, one to bring them back into a game that shocked them. Do you think it's saying a lot about the times he's actually scoring? These aren't consolations or, the 5th goal in a rout.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I think you know what? Obviously, he's been working on a lot whilst he was out injured. He's obviously upped his English game as well, right? But I think from a tactical perspective, he's improved so much. Now, one of the biggest gripes I used to have with him is no one could judge his ability, but it was him timing his runs and where he would make the runs. And I think what's changed since he's come back from injury is he's cutting in and making an inverted run at the right time. And with the past 2 goals, obviously against Chelsea, he saw that, Salah was going to make that pass. He made that run perfect. And even for the Bournemouth attack, for the past 5 minutes before that goal, he was making the right type of run where Bournemouth just couldn't track him. And I think he's learnt now that, cool, I can get the ball out wide, I can pass it to someone and make a quick move. And now he's making the right move. And I think that's the big difference with Diaz right now, man. And it's just impressing me so much. And I hope that is what really unlocks him, because we know how talented he is. We know he's got the ability. But I think the most frustrating thing was when we were playing against back fives, he would get past the wing back and then he'd have a left centre back or a right centre back, sorry. Whereas now he's smart enough to know, you know what? I need to get into the middle of the box as soon as possible after I let the
Where
ball
I
go.
can affect the game.
Exactly. And he's affecting the game.
So
quick shout out to my brother Mohammed from Walthamstow, bro. Recognize you, bro. Boy, you brush up well when it look at you in that picture. Is that one of those?
That's the LinkedIn pic, bro.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Big up, man. I recognize you, man. Back in the day, old school, Walthamstow. Big up. Yeah, I'm eating Chawal Pipi's rice. So he's clocked that nicely, man.
He's looked at what's dropping off the spoon.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what so I do want to go on because I think it's going to be hilarious to talk about, right? And this is, again, before I continue, by the way, if you're enjoying this show, you haven't pressed like, you haven't pressed subscribe. If you're not following us at KopEnd, I don't know what you've been up to, because the comment section seems to be popping, the discussions popping. You guys need to seal the deal with that follow, that subscribe. Make sure you're getting involved. So,
by the way, guys, I have got your super chat saved. People that, but obviously, I'm going to try and bring them in when it's relevant to the topic. So big up the people that have sent in super chats. I have made a note of them and they're saved. Sorry.
Nice. And let me know, Grizz, the moment you want to do it, just give me a shout. So the next bit I think is going to be funny, and the comment section I need to understand from you guys, because I think the number range is going to be huge. Because this guy, on the one hand, is terrible. On the one hand, can make his first touch look like a trampoline. But on the other hand, he's going to score a goal. So I really want to know, what would you rate in the comments Diogo Jota's performance out of 10 on Saturday? I think it's the biggest mystery. After Area 51, this is the biggest mystery of a human being I've ever come across.
Can we split into two, like first half and second half? Because it's like
Night and day.
No, I want overall because I think that's gonna confuse it. Look, I've already seen 4, 6, 8. So that's
What
the
you mean?
range.
Are you trolling, Fahi? How are you doing? What are you doing 10? What
That's
you
my
mean?
guy, man. That's my listen. Without Jota, 2 of the goals don't happen.
10.
Without Jota, 2 of the goals don't happen. End of. They don't happen. Now what? You needed 2 goals to win the game. Without Jota, it doesn't happen. These are facts.
You know, that's a very
right
Bruno-esque way to talk about things.
But
Bruno
he is.
Fernandes.
I don't care.
He's our Portuguese criminal, okay? He's our...
Funny, they're both Portuguese. That's so funny.
I'm about 7, bro. I'm about
Marco, what about you?
Man. I'm giving them a 6. When you're breaking down a lot of attacks, it's nasty.
When does the word "a lot" become every?
Okay, every attack.
Listen. Mush, I said this to you on the Saturday evening podcast we did together. Without Jota's anticipation and like intelligence, that first goal does not happen. He is the only forward that would have made that run with the ball. No one else would have done it. Everyone else would have tried to crack a shot. Jota knew the defender was sold on his movement, and he just took him out of the game, pulled it back to Diaz. Stuff like that. You absolutely have to praise him for that because that is a pivotal moment of the game. We're 1-0 down. If we do not get a goal before half time, we're in big trouble. I'm going to defend my guy, man.
No.
I'm going to defend my guy.
Massive Jota fan. Trust me, I love Jota. Every season, every start of the season, I said, everyone talk about your Núñez and your Salah and your Diaz. Jota is the vital part. If it wasn't for Jota getting injured last season, we'd 100% finish in the top 4. That's how vital he is to our attack. He's not the most glamorous, he's not the most skillfulest, but he's got that fire in his belly and he's got that.
The instinct.
Yeah. So I'm backing you on all of those points. But 10's just all right, no problem. You're doing funny ones, no problem. 10. He's 7. No, you're not 10. Come on, he's not 10 because his first half was ridiculous, like bad, ridiculous. And then after that, you're right. Everything that you said was after 30 minutes.
Okay, so I think the other one I think is also another conversation splitter. I think this is even harder because I actually thought he was very important when we went down to 10 men. And also in the second half, he drove with the ball really well. But again, horrific in the first half. It was Cody Gakpo. I thought it was such a... I didn't know whether it was good or bad. There was some good. There was some terrible. There was some... Where is he? Guys in the comments, girls in the comments, what are we giving Cody Gakpo's 90 minutes out of 10?
What did Gakpo do, though?
You tell me.
What did Gakpo... honestly, educate me. No, but you're the one that's saying that he actually helped us.
I thought in the second half he brought us up the pitch really well. There were some times where he'd carry us up and actually speed us up again. I thought he did well in that.
Gakpo was one of the topics of the conversation we had on Redfellas last night in terms of what's his role and position. I don't want him to become this figure where we see all the talent, but we're just not pinning him down to a formation and a role. Sometimes we're playing him left. Sometimes we're playing him Bobby role. Sometimes we're playing as an 8.
Grizz, he was scoring for fun in pre-season at false 9. What do you think's caused this sudden change of moving into number 8?
No midfield.
Yeah.
So we're playing him in midfield. I think we're trying to do square. I'm just trying to think. I think we're doing square pegs and round holes.
Yeah.
I agree with you. The false 9 and last season, but then we just spoke about Jota in glowing terms. So how are you fitting them in? There's a certain Núñez who hasn't even touched the pitch yet, really.
But
you know what I mean?
Call him the Uruguayan stuntman now. He's just there for show, man.
He's just a stuntman. Yeah. You're just a stuntman. But I don't know, man. Gakpo's role is vital because I don't want him to just be almost like a Curtis Jones where we're playing him in different roles and not letting him become...
Can't develop any flow, right?
That's what I think. And don't get me wrong, I don't know how to fit him and Jota and Diaz and Salah in the same team.
There's no one. The only way to do that is a formation change, isn't it? 4-2-3-1, and then have Gakpo as a 10, as opposed to what he is right now, which is a left-sided 8. But then I don't think you can play McAllister and Szoboszlai as the two deepest midfielders. So it just depends on the game state, what Klopp wants to do. And like we've said at the beginning, Klopp is stubborn. He likes to have consistency, and he always mentions rhythm. So he never really likes to change his team unless he's forced to change his team or there's better players that can come in. At this moment in time, that is the best three that we can put there. I would have loved to see Curtis Jones, as he said earlier on, to come into the side because his calmness on the ball is exactly what we needed in that first 10 minutes. But at this moment in time, it looks like Gakpo is going to have to do a job there. Is what it is.
Yeah, I can see some. It is like, circumstances have put us into a corner. But let's get back into the celebratory mood because, guys, I don't know about you guys. We're all of a certain vintage, right? We're all different vintages, if anything. But the number 8 shirt for me means something, right? There's a reason I still buy the number 8 shirt all the time. And I can promise you it's not because of Naby Keita, right? It's because I've seen heroic moments in that shirt. Grizz, do you think we found another player who's going to give us some of those heroic moments in the number 8?
Convinced, bro.
Yeah?
Finally, we have someone worthy. And look, no disrespect to the 8s that have had it since, but this guy already has got that, Stevie G aura. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When Stevie G stepped on a pitch and you see him around, you knew, yeah, man. I don't know. This guy's got the presence. He's big, he's tall, handsome, bruv. Helps.
Can I say pause?
It helps. There's marketing to do, bro.
It buys you time, bro. It buys you time. You know what I mean? And the boy can play. He's powerful. He's strong. And yesterday, above anything else, showed me what a team man he is. Because when we were down to 10 men, it was like watching Stevie G reincarnated, where he said, "No problem. Don't worry, 10 men. I've got this." And you know what? He was playing as a double pivot and then playing as an auxiliary right wing back and then right side in midfield. Bro, yesterday he went up in my... we knew he's a baller. We knew he's got the shot. We knew he's got the technique, Szoboszlai, all of that. But yesterday...
You saw some cojones, right? That's what you saw, bro.
Loved it. And now we know why he's been made, for example, the national team captain at the age of 22.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the leadership, the maturity. And you know what? It just shows you when we buy players, we buy some good ones on and off the pitch because you can see his maturity. You know what I mean? It was like leadership skills came through big time. So, yeah, man, superstar. I'm telling you, he's a superstar.
And I think, I'm going to come to you boys as well, Marco, Fahi. I mean, a big thing on what Grizz is saying, which I think spoke volumes, was even when we went to 10 men, when Szoboszlai decided, I want to slow this game down, we slowed it down. When he chose to knock it past a few players in the middle and run, we sped up. But it was almost like he was deciding. Forget everyone else. Forget the players older than him, more successful than him. He was the one deciding how Liverpool Football Club would play that day. Fahi, what does that say about him? And what does that say about us as a team with him going forward?
I think one thing that it does say is that we've really missed a midfielder that would kind of decide what we do in the game, right? We've not had a midfielder like that. Yeah, we've not had that in years, man. Like even during our successful period, big up Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Endo, whatever. But even in those periods, we never had a midfielder decide himself what happens next. And Szoboszlai, it just gave me Stevie G vibes, man. The fact that he just decided, you know what, I'm going to take you on. And I'm going to bring my boys up the pitch with me. Like, he was the one deciding what happens next. And sometimes you need a player on the pitch to do that because in a team sport, you all look at each other like, okay, who's making the decision here? Right? And I think with us, our team is full of choir boys. They're full of choir boys. Like, we never know what happens next. We never know who's going to set the standard. And it was nice to see Szoboszlai be like, you know what? We're down to 10 men. I want to get us a third goal. I'm going to keep moving the ball up the pitch. And he just did the right thing, man. It was just so refreshing to see.
Guys, what do you think about this one as well? What do you think about this as well?
Can he play right wing when
he
Salah can? I do think he can.
He can't play left wing.
I'd rather Elliot.
Yeah, he can't play left wing. He can't play left wing. I'll tell you that for sure. But right wing, I can see him doing small movements there. He's got pace as well, man. This is the thing. Szoboszlai has pace.
Athlete, bro.
Like,
Athlete.
He's
like
an athlete. He's a fast guy.
I guess
It's
just
a
to add
power
on,
runner.
add on to what Fahy was saying, yeah. It's
Well,
been a very
Marco, before you add on to it, I do want you to cover, because Fahy went to the third goal. We still haven't discussed the second, which we saw little bits and bobs. What Grizz was saying about Szoboszlai in terms of his character. First half, we saw a lot of quality. There was a moment where Salah could have been in on goal if Jota knew to dummy it. But when Szoboszlai came to do that, he did know when to dummy it. He did know when to flick a ball around the corner, and he showed some lovely feet for the pen as well. What did you think of his technical quality in that first half?
You know, funny enough, I wasn't someone that watched Szoboszlai prior to him coming like that. Like, I've seen bits of him, but I didn't know too much about him as a player. So, like, seeing him as big as he is, pause, and how technical he is on the ball, how he's able to manipulate the ball as if he's like a 5'4" winger, and be able to like pull off those little tricks was nice to see, man. And there was a bit of nuts there where he like kind of bought the penalty essentially.
Yeah, lured him in, right?
Yeah, that's what the best players do. Like, you know, you lure in a player and they make a challenge, you make the contact. And especially when we need to get a goal, that's kind of what you need to do to propel us forward. That was lovely to see, man. Just to go back to what I was saying about adding on to Fahy, it's been a long time since we've had a midfielder that just says, give me the ball. I know Thiago is that give me the ball guy, but he's a completely different mode. He's a controller that likes to pass and dictate. He's a bit of a slower tempo guy. But Szoboszlai is, give me the ball, I'm going to do whatever I want on this pitch. I'm going to run past this guy. I'm going to take on two people down the byline, make them clash into each other, get my bridges up the pitch. And even his comments after the game, when we talk about his maturity and how much of a sound head he has on himself, like how he was talking about, yeah, we support each other when we go down to 10 men. And that's kind of what we're supposed to do. So I know when Klopp was telling me to play in a 6, I was getting shouted at for moving forward, but that's something I'm going to do for the team.
Yeah, man. And do you know what? That's a really good breakdown of him, because I think that's the big change. That's the big change in our midfield. That's the big change in our midfield, because we haven't had deciders of games in midfield. In terms of, when people have watched Liverpool before, when we've watched Liverpool before, whether we win or lose has never been defined by any of the midfielders' performances. It keeps us stable, but it doesn't change a draw to a win. It doesn't change a loss to a draw. So we've got that. But there was one last attacker that I want to talk about before we talk about the McAllister red and so on and so forth. That was a man who actually had a tough day. Now, Marco talked about having, some credit in the bank. This man has more credit than all 4 of us combined. Grizz, Mohamed Salah had a tough day, and I'm gonna plant a seed here. I think some people in the comments might have seen it. There's a very talented 19-year-old kid, Hungarian 19-year-old kid, who Dominik Szoboszlai seemed to be mentoring, scruffing his head a bit at the end of the game. Had a very good game against Mohamed Salah. That was Kerkez. Salah had a tough day, but sometimes it's because your opponent plays well. What did you think of Salah overall, and how Kerkez did against him?
Yeah, look, first and foremost, that Kerkez is very highly rated. Quite a few people have said that's quite a buy for Bournemouth, you know what I mean? And yeah, he done very well, no doubt. Possibly one to keep an eye on, because we're probably looking to, obviously you guys already dumped Robertson.
They do it next week, mate. Don't worry about them.
You guys have already sacked off Robertson, so obviously we need a new left back. So yeah, we need to keep an eye on him for real. But Salah, yeah, he's a bit funny at the moment, isn't it? Like we've the whole penalty situation, and should he be on penalties? We've raised it again on yesterday's show.
Take him off penalties. I beg you.
Get my boy Dominik on pens, man. Get my boy Dominik on those.
We need to up that GNA, right, Marco?
For me, of course, there's a debate, but for me, I think it's basic to take him off the penalties, especially if you've got like Szoboszlai or McAllister. Let's not forget, McAllister hasn't missed a penalty. You know what I mean? So he's cool as a cucumber as well. But yeah, Salah's overall form, Mush, I don't know, man. It's a bit, I don't know.
You're saying form. The pass against Chelsea hit the bar, had
But this is what I was
three
saying.
other shots against Chelsea.
But this is what I was saying. I was going to end it by saying, but he's always involved in the big moments. His overall game can be better. I think he's playing within himself, possibly. I think he's preparing himself for another long season where he plays every single game. Do you know what I mean?
And an
Simple as
AFCON as well in between that.
Yeah.
AFCON as well. So overall, his performance isn't great in my opinion, but he's there for the big moments, 100% always. And he's so close to your right. Some crazy big moments like the crossbar against Chelsea, that pass, even yesterday, a couple of runs. So it's a weird one with him at the moment.
So Chris,
Yeah.
can I jump in there?
Grizz,
So, like,
Grizz,
I
question for
personally feel like-
Grizz.
Go ahead.
I was
Go
just
ahead,
not Grizz. Are you living on Sunday?
Am I?
You are you living in Sunday? You keep saying yesterday, bro. We played 2 days ago, man. What happened?
Yeah, time, time's flying too fast these days. My time needs to slow down.
This is their times of concept,
It's like Liverpool, man. We need to slow down a little bit. Everything's too rushed, man. Come on, I'm still Sunday, man. I'm still yesterday.
So I was going to say in terms of like that Chelsea game, I personally think Salah did extremely well for the first 20, 25 minutes. I think he had Cole on the ropes. And we're going to see periods of that. I do think at the moment he is slightly a moments player. And maybe it's just because we haven't clicked together as a team and we don't have the right transitions around him. We don't have the right setup around him. But I do think with time, this is going to be one of his better seasons. I think I can see him scoring 30 goals in the Prem.
Marco,
Serious?
Yep.
30.
I'm the opposite. I think it's going to be his lowest goal scoring, but one of the highest assisting seasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
I mean, Marco, I do want to ask you a question though, because you said about he's a bit of a moments player at the moment. Do you think two mini questions within this? Do you think even in our best years, Mane, Firmino, they would take, the vast workload off him? Do you think Diaz is helping take off some of that workload? And secondly, do you think it's healthier for a 32-year-old to be a moments player, because then you can preserve yourself over a season and pick and choose your moments, because you're not going to be running like he was in 2017, surely?
Yeah, I would say yes to both questions. So
Okay.
I do think Diaz is taking some of the workload off of him because Diaz is also becoming more of a threat on that left-hand side. As you see from the Chelsea goal where he gets in behind James and what Fahi's saying about making the right runs and timing his runs now, as opposed to picking up the ball on the halfway line and trying to beat every single person in the opposition team. He's now starting to be a lot smarter and efficient with his play, saying, you know what, I don't need to get the ball off Robertson at left back. I can go a little bit further in and I can get played into goal and then conserve my energy for that. And it's something that we saw Mane transition to when he first came into Liverpool. We're seeing Diaz do the same kind of transition and hopefully becomes more of a scorer because of that. Then also to the second question, yes, I do feel like it is more efficient for a 32-year-old to preserve their energy for those bigger moments where he's trying to score. But I do also like good football. Like I like to see my winger torch a right back or torch a left back. I just want to see maybe 15 minutes where they're like unplayable, where every single time we get the ball, it's just, I'm going to drive at you and you're not going to know what to do, which is kind of what we saw at Chelsea.
So it's not an intensity physicality thing for you. It's more of an involvement thing. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So when I say moments thing, sometimes I don't mind you not being as influential in the game if you're going to give me a big moment or like save your energy for a big moment. But I do want some moments where you just look absolutely dangerous, so everybody on the pitch and everybody watching knows who you still are. I still want you to carry that threat every single time you've got the ball. Well, not every single time, but most of the time when you've got the ball. So it keeps people on the back foot.
Okay. So I guess this is one of the big debates here. I mean, I always say debate. I think everyone in the comments will have a very similar opinion, because I don't think a poll is needed for this, Grizz. That was, in the second half, one of the most shocking decisions I have ever seen. And I'm sure everyone in the comments has seen it. I have never seen two side feet collide where a ball has just been passed, and for that to lead to a red card from a very non dirty player as well to add to that if you're looking for evidence. What was the thinking behind the refs? What was the judgment of it? What the hell happened?
The ref, I don't know if you want to put it down to inexperience. I know he's a fairly new ref. I don't know if he's trying to make a mark on the big scene. Look, I don't know what he was thinking, but in those situations, in my opinion, and we've all played the game at a certain level, wherever level it is, right? But we know when we're playing with our teammates and one of our boys gets hit or clattered and we think the other guy meant it or is dangerous, we're surrounding him.
Yeah, you react in a certain way.
We react in a certain way. We know when someone's being a little bitch, yeah, or nasty, yeah. But he was not. It was a pure, like you said, it was two ankles clashed with each other by the time it's finished. Both were going for the ball. Both were at the same height. Maybe McAllister's was higher. I don't know, right? Just higher. But you could see the trajectory of the ball, of the feet, of the studs. Everything indicated that it was just a mistimed lunge at a ball or tackle ball. It was not. I don't even want to get into the body language of things. There
was no malice either. You could see, yeah.
There was no malice, and you can always tell, as I said, from the players' reactions. No. Who were we playing? No Bournemouth player. No Bournemouth player was like, "Yo, he's just like trying to take out my boy, this and that." And no one.
I saw two hands go up asking for a free kick. Not even a card. Not even a card. Just asking for a free kick. But Fahi, why were there no screens involved? Because the last time I heard, there was some technology brought in a few years ago to actually check whether decisions should be made. Is there a reason?
Yeah, you're right.
Why,
Yeah, I mean, it's flipping infuriating that we have, a referee chilling in Stockton or whatever the hell, Stockley Park or whatever the hell you want to call that place, with about 15 different screens looking at different angles of a tackle, and he doesn't have the balls to tell the referee that you made a bad call.
I think this is right, though. Joseph. I think the ref got conned, by the reaction of the player.
Yeah, and I was gonna say as well, the speed at which it happened, because they were both going in quite fast. I do think it's the wrong decision. Let me preface with that, but the speed at which it happened, probably convinced the ref that there was more to it. And for me, there was nothing in that at all. They've both gone inside foot. McAllister's foot's a little bit higher than. I can't remember who it was even.
I can't remember.
They clashed a little bit.
I literally have no idea. I was so consumed by the ridiculousness of the decision. I have no idea who McAllister even tackled.
That being said, Marco, cool. All right, it was a fast tackle, a clash, whatever, but we still have VAR. Now, people are trying to justify it at the end of it.
VAR is posted out.
And I think Klopp tried to justify it, and he was like, look, Tierney couldn't make the decision because ultimately... something about because there was clear contact, end of the day, there's no need for the referee to go look at it. Yeah, basically. So I don't understand how this VAR shit works, man. I don't understand at what point do you decide, okay, this is a call that, I want the ref to look at the screen, because there's always going to be contact in the tackle. 9 times out of 10, there's going to be some type of contact. So this was side to side. I've never seen a side-to-side tackle ever get red carded. It was insane.
And do you know what? First and foremost, I think we need transparency in these decisions. I do think we need to move to something like the French League do, where they have the referees mic'd up and you can hear the conversations between the referees, first and foremost. Secondly, they've basically said that they've changed the threshold for VAR intervening. It needs to be more of a clear and obvious mistake nowadays for VAR to jump in. And to me, that doesn't really make sense, because we're now putting it in the referee's hands of what is a clear and obvious mistake.
But that
was already bad last season,
right, Marco? Like, it's always going to be subjective. Doesn't
exactly.
matter
It's
how
always
light
going to be
it
a subjective decision. I think every single decision should be reviewed. I know that might take a while, but that gets clearer decisions. And then you can set a standard on this is wrong, this is right, and go by that.
And I mean, Grizz, ultimately, what Fahi and Marco both kind of said, kind of leads down to one road, which is, why is it that none of us, all of us watch football, we dedicated our lives to how much we love this game. Why is it that none of us actually understand the process and the protocols and the order at which a decision is made, like what process they actually have to follow? Why do none of us know it?
I don't think there's any shame in any of us not knowing it. You know why? Because none of the pundits and the managers and some of the referees, the ex-referees don't know it. Like everyone's at a stage of bewilderment sometimes in terms of how has this decision been reached, and what is going on. Like how many since that decision or since some of the other decisions during the week. When they have like a referees sort of catch up. How many different referees have said given different outcomes? Still, 48 hours, 72 hours later, it's mad.
I just think, do you think it's affected? I mean, I don't think anyone really has a positive impression of the Prem refs. Do you think it's affecting what people feel about how useful they think VAR is?
I hope not, because VAR, I'm a VAR supporter. Like, I think it's the way forward, and I think it's here to stay. It's just the usage of VAR that is proper rusty at the moment.
VAR doesn't know right or wrong, right? It's people who are making decisions. VAR doesn't actually know anything. Yeah.
I think it's not. I don't think enough focus is on people utilizing VAR to its best ability. I think that's where they need to really focus on training up people. Stop putting all these machines in front of dinosaurs like me.
That's a perfect analogy for it.
It's true though, isn't it? It's true. It's not going to run like that. So get people who understand these things, and then hopefully the new generation of referees or officials will be better. They're going around the right track. They've obviously retired quite a few dinosaurs, but yeah.
I think just have VAR refs. You literally have VAR refs, specialty VAR refs. These are refs that are only used for VAR purposes. They're not ones that are on the pitch. They're literally the digital referees, and you train these men up like that, and that's it. That is their job. So then it leaves these fucking idiots like Tierney and all these people to just do their nonsense on the pitch instead.
Fair enough. So if
I think it'll be easier.
If it escalates, there's no bias in that little gentleman's club that they've got going on, right?
Yeah.
In the PGMOL. Grizz, I think we've got some great comments about actual people's opinion on VAR and stuff. Some really interesting stuff, actually. I never thought of it that way.
Got video assistant ref. The ref is supposed to be helped by another ref. It's a joke. Jose Talksport was quite scathing of the officiating at the Palace game tonight. At some points, they were laughing at the refs. It is becoming a laughing matter. Then finally, Tom says, I wonder, can clubs take their apology note to a VAR hearing if they're relegated and get slapped with a VAR points deduction next season after it? Because some decisions will cost teams their spot.
And it already has. Do you remember the goal line technology?
Yeah, it failed.
Lockdown
Aston Villa.
And then did Aston Villa go down off the back of that? Or not Aston Villa?
No. Sheffield United.
Sheffield United went down off the back of that. Yeah, man, it's not good enough. This is a multi-million pound industry, and you're costing teams massive amounts of money just through incompetence.
And we've seen the incompetence different ways. I mean, Arsenal, if you remember last season, when they got given an offside, but they forgot to draw the lines. I've never even heard that line in my life. You've literally got one job. There's no other thing you need to do. And they said they'd forgotten to draw the lines. So it's really worrying. But the red card happens nonetheless. And Liverpool actually have to deal with it for quite a long time, at least half an hour. And I mean, Fahi, me and you, when we spoke about the post-game, KopEnd reaction, bit of a tactical change around, right? We saw Salah move centrally. We saw Jota move out to the right. You gave some interesting thoughts on why you thought that was a good move by Klopp.
Yeah, so the main reason I thought that was because off the ball, Jota's a much harder worker than Salah is, right? And on the right-hand side, now that you're down to 10 men, you need to cover more ground. So where are you going to get the most out of both players? It would make more sense to have Jota on the right and Salah on the centre. And that worked out perfectly because Jota just turned into a different beast on the right-hand side. That's not even his preferred side. But he was unbelievable. I thought it was fantastic. But you know what really worries me, Mush? And I'm just going to get onto it. What are we going to do versus Newcastle without a DM? What are we going to do?
Well, I think it's a good segue there, but I don't... Technically, we've got a DM now, guys. What are you saying?
He did appear. We saw him.
Is he a DM? Are we counting him as our DM? Grizz, are you counting him as our DM?
I don't think we've got any choice. Like, there's
no other men to count.
I can't lie.
Jürgen Klopp.
Badge might be back for Newcastle. Thiago might be back for Newcastle. Bagatich.
Oh yeah, I can't see them. Look,
Yeah, I wouldn't start Bajitic. I wouldn't start. No, not against Newcastle. They'll run him over.
Yeah, exactly. I
They
don't
did
know
it
if
last
even
year.
doesn't get run over. I think Endo gets run over.
I mean,
that Newcastle
yeah.
midfield is not a joke.
I guess I probably, well, it's Mush's agenda. Why am I taking over? But I guess it
No,
probably
go for
signals
it.
into our chat, right? That obviously everyone's basing it off the article of James Pearce, where he suggests that he thinks that Jürgen Klopp is no longer looking for a DM, guys. Thoughts? I don't know, man. Do you want me to start? I think it's wild.
Yeah. You go for it.
Okay. I think it would be wild and crazy, and I'd be going mad, like mad, if no midfielder is brought in. But the fact that in his actual piece he says, and he believes, and I believe as well, that we're still in the market for a midfielder gives me hope. I don't necessarily think that the midfielder should be a DM per se, because sometimes it depends on the quality of DM available on the market and the price.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as we bring in a powerhouse of a midfielder that has durability, strength, mobility, agility, I'm good that Klopp and the coaches can mold him into what we need. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, for example, again, we love throwing back names, but for example, Gini Wijnaldum. Gini Wijnaldum wasn't a midfielder when we bought him. He was a 10-stroke left winger. We utilized his strengths.
Identified his
strengths and his type to use him for our purpose. So I get it if we're not in for a DM per se, but then how many DMs are there on the market at this late stage for something that we can find worthwhile to pay for? Like, we're getting quoted obviously 80 million for Decore, for example. Are we really look, don't get me wrong, I don't give a shit. We point ourselves in this situation. Go and pay what you got to pay. But does it make sense?
Do you think though, right? Me giving my opinion here. Do you guys think in the same way, if we remember the Virgil saga of when we were trying to get him, a big thing of us not being able to get Virgil in the summer, a lot of us had the opinion of, because we were watching Saka and Lovren do their madness every week, right? We were like, just get anyone. Just because it's not Virgil, why don't you get someone worth 20 mil less or something like that?
Just do it. Just anyone. We're at that stage again. You're right.
Yeah, Klopp's mentality was, I don't go halfway when I want a player. When I want a player, I'm willing to pay as much as possible, but he has to be my number one main priority target where I can see the team being built around. Even though it doesn't match our timeline as Liverpool fans, do you guys think Klopp is going to his timeline and thinking, I want the player I want, not the player I'm going to be cornered into getting?
Yeah, but fuck his timeline. He's missed out on his last 3 midfielders. He's missed out on his last 3 big midfielders. Fuck his timeline. It's got to the point, there's no timeline to wait for now. Who is the next midfielder that he's waiting for?
I don't know. I don't have an answer, by the way.
None of them are joining us.
I know Mush tried to
play devil's
advocate, but I'm with Fahy. I'm at this stage where I want to throw the F-bombs like Fahy did as well.
I'm sick of it. How many times do we have to wait for this guy to realise that the midfielders that he wants, the ones that he fetishizes over, are not going to join our club? He needs to move on.
Liverpool 12th man is saying Thiago is a DM and 2.
He is not a DM. Thiago is not a DM. What have you seen for 2 seasons? Nah, I've had enough, man. What have you seen in 3 seasons? Thiago in this team to think he's a DM.
Yeah. And how can you even count him as a Liverpool player at this stage?
Does Thiago exist? Does he exist? Like, you guys are discussing a
He's
player.
an NFT.
So we do. He goes, and then the disrespect for Endo is sad. We will bring in Andre in January, but even till then, Endo provides everything we need.
But I already kind of talked about this, Grizz. I don't know what you think, but I kind of said that Endo, I feel a bit sorry for him, because if Endo was brought in to be 5th choice, I think everyone would look at it as a great signing. Yeah. Similar Milner type, responsible, has a great reputation, can do a job, can be brought in. Yeah, utility. It's not Endo's fault that he's being made to look like the marquee signing. It's actually got nothing to do with him, right?
100%. Yeah, look, you're right. It's the timing and the context behind it, and especially the comments. Well, actually, let's calm down first, because there is actually no comments, or we don't know for a fact if Jürgen Klopp is thinking that. So James Pearce suggests that, you know, it's said to be in the Liverpool quarters that Liverpool are happy with Bejic, Endo, and a combination of the rest of the players that we've got. And like, you know, like we get into the super chats. That's, you know, it's time to bring in the super chats that were sent in early because people want to discuss it at the start of the show. But we go into it. He says, Grassy says, big up Grizz. No other signings. Where are we finishing? Question mark. I think no injuries. We may get third. Too optimistic. I think there's going to be more signings. 100%. That's the first.
I think there has to be. I think
if there isn't, I'll go out there on a limb. I think we struggle to get top 4.
I think we get 4th. I think that's where we finish. I think it would be City, Arsenal, and Newcastle will probably finish above us. I think.
Lad says looks like we won't get being number 6. I've given my opinion. What do you guys think about the situation? And I don't know, man. Like, as long as we're still in the market for a player, right?
I think it has to be a really. Player. I think a really special player. I think it has to be a really special.
What special players are left, Marco?
I think it's Thuram. It has to be Thuram. Like, to me, and you know how high I am on Thuram, Mush. Like,
well,
to
you know me as well, right?
Yeah, me and Mush are like the leaders in this Thuram business at the moment. But I think Thuram is one of the next big superstars in midfield.
The chat's throwing some names out. We'll go through the names. Some of the chat are throwing names out, and we can carry on. So you're saying Thuram.
Yeah.
KJSJ saying I'd still look at Manu Kone.
I wouldn't mind.
Is he back from injury? Is he back from injury now?
Yeah, he's started training.
Yeah.
How about this guy? We've been linked with him so long.
He's not a defensive midfielder. He's not a DM. His best training carry.
I would take Douglas Luiz. Yes,
I'll take Douglas Luiz. I will take it.
What makes us think Villa building a
They don't need money either.
Dismantling, bro. They're on the upward curve right now. What do you think?
Agreed.
I think he'd be a great option. I just think it's impossible that we sign him. Like, literally,
we're probably better off trying to go for. In fact, no, they wouldn't even sell Boubacar Kamara. They wouldn't sell any of them.
Do you know what's mad? What if this was the situation? We're signing Gravenberch, and then we're also going to sign Andre for January. Would you be happy with that? Would you be happy for the next 4 months, dealing with a makeshift kind of defensive mid, whoever it is, and then in January Andre comes in, who's then going to take another 4 or 5 months to say his first word in English and not play either?
Okay, check this out. This is how I'm summing up, and I'm trying to be so calm about it. So right now, the scenario that you've given me. So let's say we bring in Gravenberch, who in isolation is a wonderful player, but because of his time at Bayern, his stocks have fallen, right? But before he went to Bayern, he was one of the wonder kids of European football. Like, he was being talked about as the levels of Jude Bellingham, and I remember doing a tweet 3 years ago saying Jude and what's his name? Jude and Gravenberch to be in our team 23-24. Now I'm gonna leave with sign. I'm telling you now, I think Gravenberch, if he's allowed to leave Bayern, will end up at Liverpool because that's how much Klopp and Cole love him. But Fahi, I agree with you. The profile of player is not what we need right now. It's mad. He's nothing like he's everything that we cuss our midfield about sometimes.
Chris, please let me say this. I don't know what people watch when they watch Ryan Gravenberch. This is a guy who has the Paul Pogba trait of, unless the ball is at my feet, I have no interest in doing the work. He has no interest. This isn't I'm judging him badly or anything like that. It's like, no, there are
he's a good player, but
there are some players who come through academy football where they're so talented, the whole team is built around them for them to do their things they're magical at. And there are other players who fight every day for their lives to make it in the professional game. Ryan Gravenberch has not had to fight a professional day in his life because he's been held up as the prodigal son. This is not the kind of player you ask to do a Jürgen Klopp thankless, horrific gegenpress by yourself. This is not the player to do that.
It's not that guy.
You're right, Mush, man. He doesn't have that dog in him. And I would even go further and not say he's Paul Pogba, because I think Paul Pogba has a lot of quality on the ball. I think he might even be RLC, like a few years ago.
Maybe,
like,
yeah. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is probably
seem,
a good example.
He seems like he's one of those guys that was bigger and stronger than everybody when he was younger, so he could bully people. And you saw that within the Euros under 21s, where he looked really good on the ball. Like when he had the ball at his feet, he looked like nobody could touch him. But when it's actually coming to tracking back and positionally, and our 6 needs to be disciplined enough to plug holes as well as stay back in that position and allow Trent to cook. You don't really need to cook like that. Pass the ball off. You need to recycle. You need to be a bit of a destroyer. You need to be more of a player that's...
It's all the ugly stuff, isn't it, Marco?
I need all the ugly stuff, and I need Trent to make it pretty.
Yeah. And the other bit is, you guys want all this quality from Gravenberch. Guys, we've got the Prince of Liverpool in Dominik Szoboszlai. Don't worry about needing Ryan Gravenberch, man. We've answered that prayer with Dominik Szoboszlai. But you guys, do you think, in terms of what obviously James Pearce has said with the whole Klopp feels this is complete? We've seen, like I said, Fahy, like I said before, Jekyll and Hyde. We've seen the best and the worst of Liverpool. Do you think there's a way we will see more of the best of us than the worst of us? Is there some kind of magic balance we can hit where we see lots of our good traits throughout a game rather than, the roller coasters we're seeing?
No, if there's no reinforcements? Are you saying based on this current day, if there's no more signings?
Yeah, if there's based on
no,
but the evidence of the 2 games
I love Fahy, man.
No, not at all. What do you mean? We've been seeing the same thing for the past 12 months. Nothing is going to change until we get a competent defensive midfielder. It's literally that simple. No, I swear to you, nothing will change. The football may be better. We may score more goals, but we're going to continue conceding goals. Our issue is we put ourselves back into -1s before the game's even got going. Guys, we have to chase the game before we can even build on the game.
You know what it is? Do you know what it is? This is mad. Like, it's so obvious we just lack defensive-minded players in the squad.
Yeah.
Like, how crazy and apparent is it? Everyone's gung-ho. We're trying to hold back Robertson. Look at the opening conversation we were having about Robertson having to hold himself back from playing his natural game. We're forced square pegs in round holes. We got Szoboszlai, who's a pure creative force, just wants to get the ball, make space for a shot or a pass. And we're asking him to track runners and play in the deepest role. He was playing as the deepest player last night. We've just brought in one guy who specializes in having defensive awareness. And he's a 30-year-old, and I'm not doing the old arguments about but the facts are he's 30. The facts are he's from Stuttgart. The facts are they were nearly relegated. The facts are, he's probably seen better days.
He's never been linked to that high level. I think this is the other big thing.
We've just got rid of 30-year-olds. Now, don't get me wrong. He's played less minutes. I get all of that. He might be a younger version of Fabinho, Milner, Henderson combination, and I get all of that. But that's on the basis of we're using him like that. But today's report suggests we ain't using him like that. We're using him as RDM. And that's the worrying part.
Listen. I do not. There is absolutely no justification. There's no justification for why we would not just try and sign a defensive mid now. And the reason I say that is there is nothing to tell us in 12 months' time there will be a player available that we can then sign. Who is going to be available in 12 months that isn't available right now?
No, we're not buying that one.
You can't name it. Exactly, but there's no one.
We're not doing that.
If you want the player,
we're waiting for X, Y, Z. No. We're not. There's no such thing.
Just sign a player that can chase the ball around, that can put in some tackles and that will shield the defense. Is it that difficult?
It shouldn't be.
Really that
Shouldn't
simple.
be at all.
Why do we complicate such a simple signing? I don't understand.
The other thing as well is with this Endo signing, even if it's a good one, what's been really embarrassing for the club is Klopp has said this whole thing about, oh, my friends in Germany have said that this is an amazing signing, right? If you always knew that this was a good signing, why is it that he hasn't arrived on the first day of pre-season on the 1st of July, and instead he's part of the scramble after you've missed out on 3 targets and had the most embarrassing window? Why is it suddenly you're having to do this PR cover-up now of this being a good decision and a smart decision rather than a desperate one?
There's no answer for me. I'll pass.
I think it goes back to Klopp being stubborn. Like, he doesn't want to admit that he might have messed it up a little bit and should have brought in people earlier and said yes to certain players, maybe even last season. But I need to see someone in, man. I can't see Endo as our starting DM. I know they have a lot of faith in Bagičić, and I'm a Bagičić fan, but the kid is still 19, 20. There's going to be some games that are a bit too big for him.
I don't think he's 19, 20, Marco. I think he's 18.
Oh, he's 18? My bad. If he is 18, that's even worse. He's going to St. James'
Exactly. It's even worse. It
He's
proves
going to
Marco's point even more.
He is so 18. By the way, Marco, he's so 18 that he's not even 19 until the end of October. This isn't a kid who, you know, like, this is literally a guy who had turned 8. I think he turned 17, 6 months before his, like 4 months before his Liverpool debut. This guy has started his career yet, Marco.
It's going
to have any expectations.
Like, I know you guys know what Newcastle fans are on. It's going to be a Sunday afternoon. They're going to be drinking the whole morning. I'm not putting this kid in that environment. He'll snap. Like, they will do some nasty things to him. And it's not a lightweight midfield either. It's probably going to be Joe Linton, Tonali, who's not a slight you in any way or form, and
Bruno, who's a prick. He's a prick, Bruno. Bruno is all dirty tackles all game.
I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not going to lie. I don't know how we're going to set up, especially without no McAllister. It's going to have to be Endo thrown in. I think it's going to be the same lads alongside him, unless Curtis Jones
and Szoboszlai.
Wow. I don't think we've got a choice.
Wow.
Unless Curtis Jones comes back in.
Well, are we ignoring Harvey Elliott completely, guys? Is this like
yes?
I love Harvey, but this ain't the game for him. This ain't the game for him.
This is not the game for him. Did you see what he was even doing against Bournemouth?
In the comments?
Yeah, but he's been brilliant before that.
He was very good against Chelsea.
Yeah, he's been good, man. He's been good. But I agree. This is.
I can't lie, Fahy. I'm going to defend my cowboy. You know this. Harvey's my guy.
God.
I don't know what we're going to do.
He's
it's going to be because they're going to want revenge from last season, where we literally turned up like no one expected us to turn them over last season. No one.
And we took away their keeper.
Don't forget exactly that. I think Sunday's going to be really challenging. Listen, I'm all for supporting Endo, right? But we also, as a club, need to support Endo and get him someone else that can play alongside him at times, because this isn't fair.
Let's say even if we bring in someone this week, there's no way he comes.
Yeah, it's impossible. We're dealing with what we have. This isn't a new body is going to come in. This is a hilarious situation of like, if you guys have ever watched Dodgeball, the film, and it's like he's got that final coming up, and he looks at the squad he has in front of him. He's just like, this is exactly where we are right now.
Yeah, it's going to be, it could get messy, I'm not going to lie, but then we're known to turn around these games.
Yeah.
It's like just when you least expect it. I mean, like people are saying we need Nunes to start. Look, up front's not the problem, lads and lasses in there, man. Up front's not the problem, it's the midfield. And look how, it's, what's the date? It's 21st of August, game week 3, and we're struggling to pick a midfield. And yet, the club is discussing whether to bring one in or not.
Grizz, do you know the craziest part? All it's going to take on Sunday, guys. Guys, good luck to you guys, because I'm going to be in sunny Spain on the beach. Good luck to you guys.
Casual. See what I'm saying about casuals? Like you, casual fan, man.
I'll be there. But all I'm gonna say is for you guys that will be watching, all it's gonna take is a minute 3. Yeah, the first 50-50 we lose in the middle, and the way the St. James's crowd will rise up in that sound, the long day begins, my brothers. The long day begins from that point.
And I
Thank
think
you,
going
Mush.
back to what you said on Touchline before, Mush, you said, yeah, sometimes Klopp doesn't actually go out to negate a team. And I think you're talking about the Chelsea game. So it's going to be very, very annoying if he turns up with a lightweight midfield and tries to out-battle the Newcastle midfield, because they are P&P.
Yeah, but you keep saying, but Marco, you're saying turns up with a light midfield. What midfield can he pick that's non-lightweight?
That.
I do have a point though, Grizz, what you're saying. It's not about lightweight midfield. It's more about the fact that if you've picked 3 midfielders and you've given them the instruction of, I want you to find space, and that's a bigger instruction than I want you to stop Tonali or I want you to stop. If the instruction is about how they should have freedom rather than stopping Newcastle, I think that's super naive. All the momentum is with them at the moment. And I think we're asking for trouble if we do that.
I think we're asking for trouble. This is depressing now, because we started off talking about the first day of the season and the Anfield atmosphere and the hope and glory and all that business. And now we're struggling to name a physical midfield up against, it's going to be probably one of the most hardworking midfields that we're going to come across in Europe, probably. Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton, and Tonali, bro.
Even Longstaff off the bench, even Willock off the bench.
Even Willock, mate. Willock will run rings around us.
No,
so guys, I guess
he will. Nah, Grizz, he will. Grizz, watch. He will. Watch. I'm worried.
Listen, Willock's family used to buy food from my shop, so yeah.
Oh yeah.
Big up Willock and Chingford.
So what we do? Feeding him poison? Is that what you're saying?
I just put it out there, innit? I don't know what the relevance of that, but I just put it out there. But what I'm saying is Willock ain't running rings around.
Big up the Willock family.
We need to put some respect on our players, man. Our players are ballers. Look, Szoboszlai ain't no joke. We know this. So he's a nailed on. Endo, I think, is nailed on. Is Curtis the other one and put Gakpo up front?
Endo in that game is cracking.
I think that's the perfect segue into a question I wanted to ask you. All right, so guys, what do you think the best midfield is to negate or to play this Newcastle game? What is the best midfield?
I have said it.
So you said
Endo, Curtis, and Szoboszlai, and Gakpo as the false 9.
What if Curtis isn't fit enough? Then who'd you go with?
Elliot, Szoboszlai, and Endo. Yeah, good luck to you, brothers. That's what I'm gonna say.
Oh man,
Let me extend my Spanish.
Do you know the insanity of it, though?
Of course,
I'm bringing back the Spanish maestro early. Tell him have the best 45. No. Thiago. I'm saying go have the best 60 minutes of your life.
Thiago is from my thoughts. Like he's just not part of.
I'm gonna tell him go have the best 60 minutes of your life, and you can rest as much as you want after.
My boy Brad says FSG should be done for negligence if we don't buy a DM this window. See, that comes to the. We've got to wrap up soon. But is this on FSG, guys? I just want to put it out there. This could be a whole show in itself. But if they're offering him the money and he's saying, no, I want Endo.
If they've offered that you can have 110 mil, but we're still scraping around in Stuttgart, I don't see how we can blame this on FSG, to be honest.
Listen. No, relax, guys. I don't think the scenario has been, Klopp, you've got 110 mil to spend. What do you want to do? And he went, I want to buy Endo. I don't think that's what happened.
No, but I think what happened was 110 mil became available.
It became available, but I think what happened was after what happened with Caicedo and Lavia, the situation was okay. So you still want a DM. Now, what do you want to do?
Take this.
His thought was, you know what? well, this guy, surely we can't balls up this transfer. Surely Chelsea don't want to sign him. Let me just bring him in to
So what, he
pad out
just
the
went for
squad,
low
and you
hanging
lot
fruit?
work on someone else.
So for a confidence boost, yeah, they did this as a confidence boost signing. Like,
Insecure. They were so
Yeah.
insecure after the Casado and Lavio. They thought, let's bring in anyone just to make us feel sorry.
they were like, you've been struggling to pull.
analogies here.
Yeah,
But I'm not doing
they
it.
said you've been struggling to pull.
Grizz, I hear you. I've got the same analogy.
Yeah.
I'm not
Ain't
gonna
doing
say
it.
it.
Listen,
It's a
what
family show.
what Liverpool are doing, they're saying, yo, they're like, you know, when you have to gather around as mates, yeah, with one of your boys who's struggling with the ladies, yeah, you'd be like, look, let's level down how beautiful the girls you're going for are, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're going
Let's
there.
let's go for
That's
something
exactly what me and
realistic.
Grizz are thinking.
He's
You know?
going there. He's going
Let's
there.
go for something realistic. Quick date night at Nando's, and then we can think about the Shard later on. Yeah, let's
But you
get
don't
into
even need to
Nando's.
think about Nando's. Go to Oceana quickly, buy a shot, and let's
No,
go.
see, we shouldn't be on that level. It goes back to the first thing what I think Marco said, like we're like fourth, fifth favorites probably now for the league. Like we shouldn't be in this position. We shouldn't be doing moves like I get the shrewdness if it comes off, and we're gonna big up the shrewdness and the smartness of the Endo signing if it comes through that he was the pivotal turning point of the season. But are we being realistic? Is he going to be the pivotal signing of the summer? The DM that we've been waiting all
It
summer?
doesn't change the failure for me. That's the big thing. It doesn't remove from the fact that we failed.
Regardless of how good he is, and that's unfortunate on him. Like I do think he's going to be a decent player, and he's going to be able to fill in at certain times.
Same.
He's played right back.
Agreed.
I think he's played centre back. He's played DM. He could probably make a shift at left back, but since he's already played on the opposite flank, so I do like the signing. I just don't like the signing when we've been rejected by Caicedo, we've been rejected by Lavia, we've been rejected by Bellingham, we've been rejected by Enzo and Jan. Like there's so many failings that have led up to us being in this position. And I would have liked them to resolve that as quickly as possible going into the window, but they still seem to not have learnt their lesson.
Do you know the only equivalent that exists? The only equivalent I can think of is if Arsenal today announced that we are going to play the rest of the season with Mohamed El Neni as our holding player, and we're going to try and go for everything. That is the only equivalent of level of player we're talking about.
I'm not going to go completely.
No, but that's not an insult, Grizz. If you've played for Stuttgart and you've been a good player for Stuttgart, what level is Mohamed El Neni? He's Arsenal's fifth choice midfielder. If he left Arsenal, he would go to Stuttgart.
No, but what I'm saying is, I know we've painted this picture, and it's obviously going by reports of what we've read today in the media. Yeah, I still think we bring in a very competent, good, strong midfielder, and I won't judge or I won't make any like definitive calls until then. If that doesn't happen, then we can address it accordingly and have an emergency stream set up right there, right then. But I think maybe, and it's fucking difficult to stay calm, right, as Liverpool fans right now. But I think we just give it another 10
People are saying Robertson played for Hull. Andrew Robertson.
He was 21.
He was 21 and signed by Liverpool on the opening day of the window because they planned the entire future of that position, not scrambling around with 10 days to go in the window.
And also levels of stages of club development is very important.
Yeah.
We were rebuilding. We were at the start of the project. Now, I get it. We might be at the start of the project Liverpool 2.0, but if you are, you don't invest in a 30-year-old. You invest in youngsters to be the project.
Grizz, that's the correction, though. You do invest in 30-year-olds if you're trying to fill the rest of the squad with good experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking exactly about...
Yeah, you don't make that the marquee.
About Arsenal with Jorginho and Trossard. Like, they've already got the young players in their positions, but they want somebody else that can contribute off the bench. They're bringing Jorginho, who I don't really rate too much as a player, but is a solid enough player.
Astute. It was
get you over the line sometimes.
Yeah.
Then you also go and bring in Declan Rice, who could be your future 6 for the next 5-6 years if you really want him to be, or he could be your left-sided 8. Wherever you want Declan Rice to be, you can shape and mold him into that now because you have Partey there, you have Jorginho there, that are safeguards essentially. And if the Rice experiment at 6 doesn't work out, you've got a couple other people that can fit in and perform to a high enough level where you can challenge for the league.
Zishan says, Grizz, what you drinking? It was Vimto, my bro. It was nothing deep. It was Vimto. He goes, this is FSG. They won't sign anyone. They're 100% will. There's no...
I think they have to.
Yeah, it's a case of they must. They must.
Grizz, what are the likes saying, by the way?
Why he's like pure FSG out, but I get it, like 100% this, but me and Mush were putting the question out to you, Fahi, and you still didn't address it. If he's been given that money,
yeah,
and he's choosing to pick Endo with it, and let's just say Gravenberch, just for argument's sake, then who's that on?
But how can you trust this club to sign anyone? This is the problem. Think of him as a manager. No, don't do this. Listen, I understand that Klopp. No, I understand that Klopp is at fault with some of the situations with the transfer policy and everything that he's done. But based off this current situation, based off the past 2 weeks, do you trust this club to get a deal done? Yes or no? The answer is no. He sorted the Lavia deal out. He speeched him. He won him over. He was there chilling, waiting for us. We fucked it up. Caicedo, they came to him and they told him,
okay, counter argument.
We've been working behind the scenes for Brighton. We're going to get something done. And they fucked it up. How can you trust him?
Okay, he did speech up Lavia. He did do all of that. But I believe that the switch to Caicedo would have been approved of by Klopp. Yo, we might get a chance to sign Caicedo. What are you saying? Klopp, I believe, would have been consulted and said, okay, we got Lavia, we can do Lavia now, or we can try to get Caicedo. So again, that's on Klopp. Or Klopp could have stuck to his guns and his initiative, his instinct, and said, you know what? I've been watching Lavia for 6 months. I'm certain on him. He's younger. He's not much younger, but younger, half the price. Moises Caicedo, he's in two minds about clubs and whoring out for Madrid. Everyone.
Someone said Grizz is the DM of FSG.
I'm not defending the FSG here. I'm saying
he is.
Oh, okay, no problem. I'm defending him.
But instead, I'm gonna call it quits.
Listen, my whole point. Listen, I'm not disagreeing, Grizz. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying about Klopp and the Caicedo situation. What I'm telling you is, based off what happened, does he, as a man, have trust in his employers to get any player over the line right now?
No. I agree.
There you go.
That. Yeah.
There you go. So in that situation, if you know there's a bloke available for 12 mil and Chelsea are not going to try and take him off you, do you sign him? Yes, you do. You're like, you know what? Fuck it. Just bring him. Just bring him in. Just bring him into the squad. And you not try and work behind the scenes and play 4D chess and try and sign Doucouré or whoever the hell you're trying to sign, and let's see what happens.
What are we saying then? No one got any Jürgen Klopp stocks in this conversation.
No.
Forget that guy, bro. Listen. The way I'm gonna burn that man when his contract runs out.
This is the laughter of a madman, by the way. This is the laughter of insanity because this guy came on a temp contract, and that's the only bigger fraud than Ashake's concert last night for me. Honestly, Jürgen Schmatka, bro. I cannot believe this man has taken 3 months, just 3 pay slips from us, and left us in this position.
Again, he's not the problem. Like, he's not the fault. It's the whole structure. It's the whole institution that's enabled him to be our sporting director. Check this out. Are you not ready? He's been selected as our footballing director for the most crucial transfer window in probably Klopp's history as a manager coach. This was supposed to be the big window that was going to turn around our fortunes. Right now, we've bought McAllister, Szoboszlai, and brother Endo.
So two release clauses on the 30-year-old, yeah?
Bro, my head is hurting again. What you lot done to me?
So what we're saying, George is 0 for 100.
Yeah.
Shooting from the field. Now, let me give him a little bit of credit. 3 from 100.
Bruv,
Wow.
I don't know what to say.
Whoa. He didn't do Mac. He didn't do McAllister.
All right, so 2. That's even worse.
Bruv, this one's definitely George. So
Yeah,
if Endo turns
of course.
Yeah,
So
he
you
said
said
that.
that to me, but-
All right, I've got
Obviously,
something
it
to
was
say.
from the old club, innit?
So I have a friend that works with Stuttgart, right? Apparently, Stuttgart are shocked that we put the bid in at the price that we did, and this is a legit. This
I
is
wanna
a
be
legit
surprised.
I'm
comment.
not surprised.
They were
surprised.
shocked.
I want to be
They were
surprised.
shocked that we came in at the price that we did. They weren't
Look,
expecting that.
Did you
Look,
see?
look.
Did you see the rumors that it was supposed to be 6 mil? They valued him at 6 mil initially, and then we put in a bid
There
that
you
was
go.
way over that.
Look,
Did
look,
you-
look, look, look,
There you
look,
go.
look, look. Ultimately, the people that watch this guy and know about him, like every journalist, I had a journalist on my show last week, and everyone has spoken about him and has said positive words about him. People that watch him far more than us. Let's not gas it, man. We don't watch
Yeah.
him week out. We ain't watched him week in, week out. We might have watched him in the World Cup. I did actually watch him in the World Cup.
Yeah. That's it, though.
That's it. But people that watch him week in, week out said, yo, very shrewd, very smart signing. So, yeah, we're not cussing the bloke himself. But the overall shambles of a window, as of today, we have to speak on. And they still got time to end it well. They have, guys. They've got time to do well. But I'm with Fahi. The record and the past history suggests we're in cuckoo
Guess
land.
what? What does it suggest?
We're in cuckoo land if we're thinking we're bringing in 2 players of like 50 million. Okay, forget the price. Again, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I don't care about the price. I'm talking about the profile of player that we need. Give me 2 right profile of players. I'm
The
begging.
only stressful thing in this conversation has been you guys talking about Ryan flipping Gravenberch.
You know what's so funny though? We haven't even addressed the other elephant in the room, which is the left-sided centre back. Like, well,
Bro,
all focus on the midfielder.
Virgil needs to play 50 games this season. You need to understand this. There's no other alternative to this.
Oh,
I'm not
man.
trying to see Joe Gomez. I'm not trying to see Joel Matip. I'm not trying to see
Bro,
Sepp
Joe Matip.
Vandenberg. Whoever's
Joe
left
Matip.
in the squad.
Joe
One
Matip
star.
is ridiculously finished. And I love Joe Matip. But he's ridiculously finished, you know, like badly. It's a
Bro,
one-goal head
Do you know
start.
what? Do you know what? Suppose I don't know if you guys think it might have been available, but you know, Laporte just went to Saudi.
I'm not realistic, man.
But I'm not really.
You think,
I'm not.
you
a
think
big
Laporte
fan of
Pep
him at the
wouldn't do it?
moment.
I think Pep would be arrogant enough to think he probably
Go on
would
then.
do it. Yeah, but you know what I mean, bro.
thought Laporte-
You got to close up on a positive, man. We can't. I'm stressing again, bro. This
Right,
last
let me close off on the positive then. Go on, let me close on it. Guys, everyone listening, forget your Yorgs, forget your FSGs. The point is, the last thing you saw when 11 men in red shirts with Liverpool badges walked on the pitch, they gave you a win. You saw them concede early. You thought they were back to their old habits. They weren't. With 10 men, they had more of the ball than they had when it was 11 versus 11. This team are built with some new stuff, with some new characters, yeah? And they've got more to them than the people who disappointed you last year. So all of us who are afraid of Newcastle next week, we shouldn't be, because these guys are probably a lot more confident than we are. So trust their mentality more than you trust in your own, because we have got the ability to still have a special season because we got special players. All right? That's it. That's all I need to say.
fair enough, man.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
I mean, I don't know how much. I don't know. You know what I mean? Let's bring on St. James Park and that roaring crowd, man, because we're gonna need some monologues like that, bro.
Grizz, why are you still talking when you said you wanted to end it on a positive?
I can't help it, man. I can't help it.
I used to be a teacher in a previous life. I've still got that side to me, all right?
I know, man. I just don't know. I don't know when to keep quiet sometimes, man. Sometimes I need to keep quiet, man.
Right, come and see me after the lesson, Grizz. All right? But no, thank you very much, guys. If you're leaving, someone said Mush can say that he's going to be in Spain.
It was true, though,
It's
isn't it?
true.
All that talk,
It's
and you know
true.
what I mean? You're ducking.
All that talk, I'm running the most.
When the push comes to shove, you're going to be in Spain, and we're going to be like getting bantered from every rival fan base.
But guys, honestly, if you haven't left a like after a show like this, I don't know what you guys have been up to. If you haven't clicked subscribe, if you haven't, gone onto the KopEnd page, registered on our pod, whether you're on Apple, Google, Spotify, you should be all over all of this content, because this isn't the only thing Grizz does all week. this isn't the only thing KopEnd does all week. We talk about football all the time and every different aspect. So yeah, man, you guys are part of the family and this is what we do. So thank you for the love this week. Marco, amazing debut. Hope you enjoyed yourself, brother.
Yeah, definitely did. It's always nice to chop it up with you, man. Still, I'm here whenever.
Fahi, thank you for your sometimes uncalled for honesty.
I'm stressed out, man. Now I need to go to sleep. I'm just stressed out. I'm annoyed, man. I'm annoyed.
See, that's what I'm saying. But the purpose of the show wasn't to end up annoyed. The purpose of the program, you know what I mean? But the reality of it is that we're on the verge of having another shambolic window. We're on the verge. Yeah. We can still save it. We can still save it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Total Eclipse has asked for a prediction. I guess I should because I'm not going to be here next week. I predict Liverpool are going to somehow wrestle a 2-2 draw at St. James. I think we've got goals in us, and I'm not being naive enough to think we'll keep them out. So
She'll carry us 5 minutes on Sunday.
This is it. This is it. This is my Stevie we go again speech, guys. Yeah, this is exactly what it is. But no, thank you very much. I think we've got to call it a night. You know, work tomorrow. Thank you so much, everyone who's stayed up much later. We had some amazing locations. So if you've stayed up late in your time zone, we really appreciate that. So yeah, peace. Grizz, any words from you?
No, man. Big up. Nice one. Episode 2 is in the can. Episode 3, here we come. It could be anything, innit, really?
It could be anything. I can't even imagine the title. That's how flipping unpredictable it is.
Like if we if you're offering me a draw right now, I'm snapping your hand.
I'm taking it, mate. Yeah, I'm snapping it up. I'm taking that draw, man.
But if we win, the vibes, and you ain't gonna be here, Mush. The vibes is gonna be popping.
I'm dialing in, bro.
Don't worry. Yeah, I'm gonna end on an optimistic note, bring back a bit of my optimism, and say it's gonna be 4-2 Liverpool.
Nice.
It's gonna be absolute crashing.
By the way, next week's title could be anything from "Welcome Chuameni" to "Assalamu alaikum." Assalamu alaikum, Mohammed El Neni. So it could be, you know, there's a lot.
Oh yeah, when does it close? Next Wednesday or something?
It's the 1st, right? So it would be next
Thursday
night. Next Thursday night is when it closes.
Okay, we got time, guys. Keep hope alive.
Bro, we've had 3 months. Why do we suddenly have time now?
I know. That's the worst part. But listen, love, peace, tranquility, KopEnd Fracas. Until next time.
Peace.